whatever, it'll be recorded. And I'm going to go through and I'm just going to show all these minis that I've done so far. So this is the one that I'll be adhering one to the back of, as well as this. And then as those are drying, I'll show all the rest of these on the video, and we'll wrap this all up with a quick one, and then I'll do a better stream later. Just wanted to show exactly how this works. So we've got our illustrations, paper set off to the side, and we'll start with the smaller one first. We had music going for a little while, but I just decided it was going to be a lot easier to just do this quick and easy without all the extras. And so what I'm doing is I'm applying some of the decoupage down heavily in the center, and then applying a little more to the outside edges where I expect the paper to be. Don't really use any water when you're doing this. If you want to make your brush just a little bit damp, that's fine, but you don't want to water down. This is essentially like glue. You don't want to water that down with this. And then, so I just wiped that off to make sure that I didn't have any extra little stuff. And then I want to just kind of line this up and set it down in like one little spot. That's why I'm kind of bending the image just a little bit, so that I can move it around just enough. And then put one finger down in the center, one finger pushing out to the extremities. And then once you've got most of those surfaces down, kind of press to the outside. Try to keep your finger dry without putting decoupage on it. Once you do, like I just did, once you do, just start rubbing the paper out to the very edge, and when some of the wet decoupage goes on your finger, this is also the point I'm going to pick this up. When the decoupage goes on your finger and also presses against the paper, it helps to adhere it. The drier the spot, the quicker you want to do that. It's still kind of wet and it can move around. That's no big deal. That's pretty much it. And then because it's drying pretty quickly, there's not much else I can do except wait. And then so once that dries, I'm actually going to apply a thick layer of decoupage to this side, which has already been smoothed out and repaired and all that. And in between the two of these, I will show off the other minis that I've done that are all pretty much completed. I'll do one more layer of decoupage on top, just to make sure that everything is really solid, and I use up a whole bunch more of the rest of this. Okay, so and then yeah, we're good. You can still see me. We're good. All right. So the other thing is, because with these really big pieces, you're going to have to apply so much decoupage so quickly. I'm applying just a little bit of water to my brush, and I'm going to get some of the decoupage that's still in my brush out onto the piece in the center. Then start applying more. And with this, you're going to put a whole lot onto it before you really start brushing it out. Try to keep most of the big, thick blobs in the center. work it out to the edge. I'm still going to need just a little bit more because it's so big and some of it's going to dry by the time I get around the edge. I'm going to need just a little bit more to keep it from drying out entirely at the edges. Okay, so I want to avoid getting it on that because that's going to be the drying space. I may have to just pick this up and hold it on my arm, which is what I did last time. This. Kind of smooth some of the stuff that's in the center out to the very edges before it dries. And that's the other thing. You want to do it kind of quickly because it is drying right now. At the edges, it's drying. So go all the way around, get it kind of smoothed out as much as you can. And then, without putting it in my mouth so that I can continue telling you what I'm doing. Then take the illustration, just like before, put it in the center, as lined up with where you can get it. Oh, see? And then so it's really going to want to adhere really quickly. So, find your spot. Yep, that should work. Okay. And also, because this is pretty curved from applying it the last time around, it's kind of it's bent just a bit. Okay, perfect. Now we're good. So you're gonna feel when you apply that paper that there comes a point where it doesn't move around anymore, and that's because there's enough tension, tack and tension between the paper and the cardboard, which is essentially becoming plastic as you apply the stake brush. Okay, and so just like with before, there's a little bit of a curve to it, so I'm going to really press down and just kind of press along the outer edges. Make sure we don't have any sticky spots on the drawing board. And there we go. This one still has some kind of wet spots there, so we're going to continue letting that dry. Just going to kind of rub this goop off your fingers. And I'm just going to put that in the water so it doesn't dry out. Alright, so I'm going to go through one by one and show each of these. So these are our colossal sized, oh boy, maybe I should switch this around. Let's switch this around. The other thing is I can't just go running in and throwing my goopy fingers all over the machine. Thanks for the host, Rogren. And anyone who's just joining me, what I'm doing is I'm just doing the very last stage of my gaming miniatures. And I'm going to switch the camera around because the ones that I just done had finished up our drawing. And I want to show off the ones that I finished already. So these two are colossal sized gaming miniature editions, because you put them onto a base. And I'll show you what I mean. The lighter one is intended to be more like a desert, and the darker one is intended to be more like dark stone or volcanic something or other. And then I also have a black with white lines and a blue and yellow, let's see, there we go. A blue and yellow white radial design with dark blue lines. And so each of these has kind of just a simple color theme. I have to be careful. There's lots of decoupage on my fingers still. And so I just want to show each of them off. Hang on just a second. I'll get the goop off my fingers. once it dries up, you can kind of just rub it off, but the problem is you have a lot that just hangs around, and if I grab those and the decoupage plastic adheres to it, it'll have this big, weird, lumpy, crusty bit. You don't want that. Okay. So to show how these bases work, I'm going to use the Annihilator robot. Alright, so this is a gargantuan-sized creature, so I'm going to show the gargantuan-sized base. Right? Alright, so gargantuan just simply means that it's on a 4x4, backwards. It's on a 4x4 grid, which is sort of like that. Here, we can do this, hang on. So it's sort of like that, and then on the back side is a darker gray, white, and black with yellow lines, and on the other side is more of a yellowish tinged landscape with gray lines. And this is the Annihilator robot. There we go. That's a better color. Alright, so in order to actually create this mini, we'll put it on the sandy side thing with a Pathfinder huge-sized base, and then just sliding it into the base like that, pressing down, and they're pretty durable, so you don't have to really worry about them like, messed up. And then you have what is essentially a gargantuan-sized mini in a huge-sized, which is 3-inch, base. They are completely reversible because you put illustrations on both sides. Hi! You put the illustrations on both sides, and then of course the bases are also reversible because I put designs on both sides of the bases. So, the gargantuan sized are all 4-inch by 4-inch. And then I made a whole set of bases. So there are 8 gargantuan-sized bases. I'm just going to go through and show them one by one. This is, we're going to say a grayish on white design with a purple outline, purple grid line. You just figure out where the best reflection is from and then keep it there. Yeah, right. It's also not possible. And then on the back side, we have a tan and brown. The dark brown comes out the most. I'm also noticing that as I put things in the camera, it will change the camera because it's trying to auto color compensate. I have a bright blue, so really good for water creatures, with a light blue outline, and on the back side is the dark brown with slightly light tan overwash and blue grid lines. That's on the back of the blue. Dark blue with light blue grid lines. So each one of these is sort of, it's not really themed. Like with this, it's like on one it's just pure green with black outline grid lines, and on the reverse side has nothing to do with the there's no, okay, there we go. It's all backwards. My video camera is all backwards from the way you actually hold it. So this is purple with slightly grayish blue, and then a dark gray blue grid line on the back of the green with black grid line. Shiny, shiny, shiny. So the shiny does kind of help a little bit in the beginning to lay things out on that. Here we go, there we go. If I just do it flat on, it likes it the best. It's hard to get the contrast on the grid lines for that one. That's not really a problem, because sometimes you want it to be more subtle. But for people who have vision problems, like many people I know, it could be an issue. Alright, so here's one that I had some help from another person. So this is a darkish blue with lots of interior blue textures, with black grid lines, and on the back is a more purplish blue with light blue grid lines. So, like I said, all of these are reversible, and they're all sort of dual purpose, so that you don't necessarily have to use it for any specific thing, and they're all very colorful so that you have a lot of diverse different things to work with. It's also very bizarre how it's balanced here. Okay, so this is a very, so I also had help with this one. It's a very bold red. It's sort of a purplish red, and then I put very bright orange grid lines on it. It's really hard to see in the camera to tell from the colors, but it's a very dynamic paint job. It's very dynamic. The colors are very interesting, and it's very difficult to tell from the video, but it's pretty cool. And then on the back is just a very simple brown with gray grid line. All right, so I already showed the blue one, and this is sort of the accompaniment to that. A very, very bright, vibrant orange with light blue grid lines. It's kind of hard to tell from the lighting, but I'm going to try and grab as many angles as I can here just to show, because the reflections do a lot to change things. And then on the back of that, simple brown with a darker orange grid line, reddish orange. It comes out very red because of the dark brown below it, but it's actually very orangish. When the light shines directly on it, it actually comes out very bright orange. So that's why it's on the bright orange backside. And then more subtle tones, a lighter orange with a darker red grid line. There we go. And then on the back side, a very vibrant yellowish orange with a light blue grid line. Yeah, it changes so much just with the angle and the lighting. And as you can see, they're very reflective, but only when there's a specular light directly shining like that. But in any case, the colors are very subtle. There's a little bit of variation in all of it. I used some color washes with each of these. So there we go. The closer I get, the better, actually. So those are the reverse of each other. And there are 7 of them here in my hands. Ooh, bling bling! And there are 8 total gargantuan bases. And there are 2 colossal sized bases, which are the ones that I showed here. I'll do that one more time. Now that I know how it works best, I'll do it just like this. So that's my very dynamic design, blue and yellow. This is intended to be like desert, like a light tan colored desert. I'm going to try and get as many angles as I can to catch the right color on this. It's tough because it's so, there we go. It's actually vibrant colors with the light blue and tan grid lines. And so it's very subtle. It's actually, there's a lot of color dynamics happening in both of these. And then this is more simple. Dark gray on a slightly lighter gray with white grid lines, bright white, no color. Whoops, see, this is what I was talking about when I grabbed this earlier and had a little bit of decoupage still adhered to it. It got adhered to it. See, just kind of rough it up and get it off there. And then I'll do another layer of decoupage on all of this so that it'll smooth everything out. Okay, so that's the dark black. Here, one more time. Dark black with bright white grid lines, sort of a grayish, dark gray and lighter gray washed together. And then on the back of that is brown with a dark gray grid line. Simple. Simple, complex. That was the theme on each of these. Alright, so this is almost totally adhered. It's good to just kind of press on it, make sure that the paper and the glue grab together onto the cardboard. And it's basically the same as the other. I'm going to switch camera both views again. Well, let me go through and show each of them in these. No, now that these are dried off, we'll switch back. We'll switch back and I'll finish this off. Because, okay, so because I put my brush into the water, and I want it to actually have a lot of decoupage and not water, I'm going to try and get rid of some of that moisture. Alright, so I adhered these just a little earlier. Okay, that's fine. So I adhered the illustrations to this a little bit earlier. And so now what I'll do is, now that it's dry, for the most part, it's basically dry. And I'll do the same thing like I did with the other ones. Just kind of press around, make sure that the paper is fully adhered to the page. And then, so I'm going to start with one half of it, and then set it and let it dry, and then I'll flip it over and do the other half of it, and then set it and let it dry. But I'm going to do both sides of each half of the miniature. And this is just applying an extra layer of decoupage over everything all together, including the cardboard, the paint, the illustration, and any extra decoupage that ends up on top of all of that. And then just being very forceful, pushing it to the edges, because whatever doesn't go on to this side clumps up on the back side. And just use it to begin the decoupage on the back side. And I'm sorry if I go off camera, I'm just trying to do this so it can be done. That's why I'm telling you the steps as opposed to really showing you each detailed portion. Like I said, this stuff kind of dries up pretty quickly, which is a good thing, because it is also very good and solid. Once you adhere this, or once you apply this decoupage to the mini, like I said before, it will plasticize the cardboard. So it will be very, very durable in the end. So essentially I just covered one half of the miniature with a thick layer of decoupage, and then I'll set it off to the side, setting on the dry edge, and just kind of rest it up against something, which you probably can't see because it's off camera. Oh well, there's still brown on the camera. Alright, same thing with this. Now that it's pretty much dry and pretty much adhered, I'm going to do not quite half, I'm actually going to do about a third of this one all at once, just because it's so big. This colossal sized mini is as big as I could make it. It was basically the biggest image I could print off on the biggest piece of cardboard I could use from the recycled bits. as much space as I could possibly use, and we ended up with a big, essentially a full page size. Actually, it's larger than a full page, because a full page image print is what is the basis of the art on this, but then you've also got the tab and all the extra space around the edges. So it's much larger than a full size page. 8.5 by 11 American page. I don't know what the pages are in other countries. I'm so sorry, other countries. I'm so sorry. I'm a stupid American. I thought I was smart, but I'm not. But it's okay, because I still love you. Hopefully you still love me. And if not, that's okay too. That's cool. It's fine. I don't take offense. I'll be okay. I'll be fine. And on top of it, I'll make some cool minis. Even if you don't love me. It's cool. We're just friends anyways. And then so, I applied it to both sides of the mini. About the equal portion. I'm trying to get it so that you can see how I applied it. Sort of. You're over here. Okay. And so I did it to both sides, about the same amount. And then I'll just sit it up against something. Try not to let it adhere to a surface, if possible. If possible. And if it does, you just kind of rub that goop away. And then so both of those are drying. And I don't want that to get too wet, so I'll just grab just a little bit of water and throw it on the dish. And it'll be fine. Alright, so I'm going to show all the rest of the miniatures that I created because there's not many more. And my hands aren't all that goopy, so I'm going to switch cameras and I'll show them all right here. Alright, so smallest ones first. We have the Kraken. I've done this one before. I think I might have done this twice before. This is not the illustration from the Pathfinder Bestiary. It's another one that I found online. Same thing with this guy. Dire Crocodile, Sarcosuchus from Prehistoric Earth. I found a picture online that I liked better than the Bestiary. As you can see, I totally cut the spines off of it by placing it too close to the edge of the page. But it's essentially still a dire crocodile, regardless. I could have painted or drawn the spines back on, but the point was to get it done. Get it done, get it done, get it done! Right? Kraken, dire crocodile. We have another neothelid, the largest neothelid, the largest neothelid and the largest annihilator robot of all the sets that I've created are in this set. Same deal. Everything's two-sided. As you can see, I tried to make subtle color variations on all of these. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's pretty obvious. It usually works relatively well with the picture colors. Sort of. Sometimes. And a Lindnorm, the colossal-sized Lindnorm that I enjoy the most. I'm showing the messed up side. So, those of you who know this illustration well will notice that along the edge where there is a big rivet on the cardboard that I used. I did this on purpose. I'm like, whatever, it's fine. It'll be fine. It's still going to be a nice mini regardless. So, on that same general spot, you can see that the illustration was a little bit messed up in the printing, but the rest of the illustration was pretty good. So between that one and this one, it's pretty darn good. It's a little messed up, but it's fine. And so this is a Tarn Lindnorm. I forget. It's the only one that has two heads like this, and it's from the Bestiary. And it's colossal. It is a colossal sized mini. This is almost the width of a piece of paper. 8.5 inches. So Neothelid. Tarn Lindnorm. Don't hold me to that. It's a Lindnorm, I know that. I forget. I only forget. It's not that I don't know, it's that I forgot. Alright. No. We're going to start with Paizo first. Because this is pretty freaking awesome. There, see, that's good colors. This is the Tarrasque. This is the Tarrasque from Inner Sea World Guide, which is the Spawn of Rovagug version. In the bestiary, there's a different illustration, and it's just a slightly different version because they updated it for the Pathfinder campaign setting in the Inner Sea World Guide. Or they might have even done it in the old campaign setting. But so, as with all of them, double-sided, illustrations on both sides. Colors are... I tried to get the colors as much on the same on both sides as I could. That was the goal. It didn't always work out. You'll notice that there's little discrepancies here and there, but if you're not looking for it, you're not going to notice it. Okay. This is almost entirely, really, yeah, you can only barely see the color on the very edges. That's fine. I only did the very edges, about like a centimeter, about a half-inch at the edges of painting, just because I knew that the illustration was going to take up the majority of this. Almost the entire thing. Alright, so this is the Simurgh from Bestiary 3? 3 or 4, I forget. But it's not the illustration from there. I used an illustration from a different source online. I think it was like some kind of video game concept art or some kind of cool anime illustration-ish thing. I'm really bad at giving my source issues. But I found it online, I liked it the best. Of all the Simurghs out there, including the old traditional art, I decided that that one was the best. And I'm closely inspecting something on video. Why? Why is he doing that? Why is he wasting time? Because you never know. It could have been something that I had to fix right now. Alright, so that's all of them, along with the ones that I'm finishing up extra layers on right now. And I'll try to show these kind of closely. So this is the Thanato-Titan, the Death Titan. Shine! I'm not sure how well the colors will come through on this. They're very, very, very subtle differences in colors. It's like, it's hard to see in real life, let alone on camera. So I just did the second side of this. I did the first side off camera just to make sure that I knew exactly what I wanted to say and how I wanted to do it. And take one. Go. And you can kind of see some color variation. It's really tough though. It's yeah, and so this is another one that it was messed up like that. It's actually messed up like that on both sides. So I figure, hey, it's the same on both sides, so whatever, it's cool, we like it. And it still works. I cut out the general image, and we'll just say that he's using displacement. Some kind of bizarre temporal displacement, because he's probably from Starfinder and not Pathfinder, because he's a rebel. A maverick. Yes, I went there. I'm out of it. I'm shaky. I need to get some food in my system. I didn't eat food earlier because I was not feeling good. Okay, this, I have yet to say what this is. This is a colossal sized critter. There we go. There we go. That's the best. That works the best. He's my friend anyways. We're going to cuddle. We're just going to snuggle for a little bit. Okay. So, I'm not going to say what he is or his name, but I will say that he is also, and I mentioned that the Tarrasque is a spawn of Rovagug. It's the spawn of Rovagug version of the Tarrasque from Pathfinder. This is also one of the spawn of Rovagug. So I'll say that, and I'll also say that this is an image from an adventure path, specifically from Paizo, And so it's in Paizo campaign setting, so it's definitely their thing. And I'm not going to say what it is. I want somebody to guess. I want somebody to actually be like, I know. Good for you. And it's not done drying just yet. There's a big old clump, a clumpy bit. So, that's actually exactly what I wanted to do. It's exactly that. So showed those all off, adhered the illustrations, and also made them into what they are. So after you apply one layer of decoupage on top of the illustration and the other paint and decoupage and things that you've already laid down, you're still going to do one more layer of decoupage after that. You can water it down just a little bit. Don't put any more than 50% water into your decoupage. Any more than half and half, and it's going to dry improperly and not do what you want. So make sure that you use more decoupage than you use water when you're adhering the last couple of layers. If you use water at all, you don't have to, but adding just a little bit of extra moisture should help it smooth out just a little bit. If you use too much moisture, it's going to end up drying and cracking into this weird texture. Try it on something that you don't like. And then, so off camera, I will put one more layer of decoupage on all of these, so that they're like totally done, and they'll be pretty darn solid. By that point, they're going to be mostly plastic, and they're going to be pretty darn solid. So yeah, so that's the dilly. I'm going to end it there. That is the end of the series on creating gaming miniatures. I'm Will, also known as Zito Raven. Zito Raven, you can say however you want. It doesn't matter. It's not going to offend me. And this was creativity at very bizarre hours. And if you're on the East Coast, it's even later than it is over here on the West Coast. But that's okay, because we've got an extra camera that somebody lent to us because they were so nice that we can like play tricks on it. Yeah. And so that's the gaming miniatures. 8-part tutorial. I thought maybe there would be more than 8 parts. That's why I put a 0 before the 8, but that's the only reason I did that. And now that we've done it, I'm really glad I did it, and I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you're going to make miniatures of your own, you definitely should, because it's really easy. It's not difficult. I just kind of showed you the steps to going through it all. I talked a lot about, like, if you mess things up, it's really hard to mess things up while doing this. There's so many ways that you can, if you're quick about it, you can just quickly fix it, and it usually ends up looking pretty darn good. That's it. Have a good night. I love you. Bye-bye.